Hello and welcome to the Creatively Challenged podcast, where we talk entertainment, news, and random topics we bring to this $34 card table. I'm one of your hosts, Ryan Nolan, and I'm here with my friend Mike Douglas. How are you doing today?
Hello, and welcome to the Creatively Challenged podcast.
Stealing my intro here? Is it just your show now? And to round out the $34 card table today, we have Alex Brookshire. How are you doing?
The name is Shire. Brookshire. Doing pretty good. How you guys doing today?
I'm doing good. We've got Dan out and about in Washington, D.C., right?
At a wedding.
At a wedding.
Looking fancy at a wedding.
He's not the one getting married, guys.
No.
Just want to make that clear.
He's still single, ladies, so let us know. But other than that, let's get off into the news. To start us off, we have a new trailer for Thor Ragnarok. That's a film coming out November 3rd. And what do you guys think of this trailer?
I thought it was good. I didn't like the ending. Up until the ending, I thought it looked like another good Marvel movie. And then they had some odd Marvel banter that I thought kind of killed the scene between Hulk and Thor. I don't know. It just didn't land with me like it should have. And, you know, our guy Jeff Goldblum's in it.
Oh, yeah.
And you got to love Goldblum, and he looks literally like he's playing Jeff Goldblum.
Yeah.
And his outfit was kind of weird, but I do think the movie looked grand, and it had some really good cinematography from the look of it. And I liked the angle they're playing with Thor kind of going this like gladiator route almost, and he doesn't have his hammer. I thought that all looked cool, but yeah, those are my thoughts. I mean, I thought looks like another Marvel movie, and I mean, we'll see. Will it be original? We don't know.
Yeah, well, I mean, it kind of looks.
What do you think?
Yeah.
But Brookshire, what are your thoughts?
That kind of goes into what I think. I didn't hate it, but it has me worried because I think Marvel, once they had Guardians of the Galaxy, they're like, oh, this makes us money now, so all our movies must be like Guardians of the Galaxy. And I think the problem is it's gonna get like overdone at some point, because for me, a lot of the comedy in the trailer, it didn't really hit for me. It wasn't like bad, like I was slapping my forehead, but I wasn't laughing as I was supposed to be.
At what point does it become like Marvel's overdoing it? You know, are we getting close to that point where they're becoming, where it's almost like you can critique them for being too formulaic?
I actually think we can. If Thor Ragnarok ends up being like Guardians, I think that's where we're headed.
Yeah. Because the next Guardians movie, it has to be like that.
Yeah, that's the Guardians franchise, but Thor is a different thing. That's my other big problem with the trailer, was the tone was all over the place. Like I hated the music choices. It didn't fit with what they were showing with these huge battle scenes and dark Kate Blanchett and everything.
Yeah, make sure you stay up on the mic a little bit. You have to almost talk into it.
Okay.
The sort of space aesthetic that everyone has gripes with, I don't see as an issue, but rather consistency. If Thor goes out into space, you better hope it's the same kind of space aesthetic that Guardians had. You would want it to be consistent in the way that everything looks and things like that. So to see him in a new setting that we're already familiar with is kind of exciting. So that's my take on it. Anything else, guys?
I am very excited about the gladiator stuff. That looks really cool.
Yeah.
It looks good.
Thor having swords. I think that's kind of a cool turn.
Oh, yeah.
I hope he the classic helmet, right, from the comic. They're introducing that now. Is that from the comic, Ryan?
Guys,
it kind of looks like his helmet. Yeah.
We are
Okay,
forgetting,
I didn't really look at it
we are
like
forgetting the Hulk. The Hulk looked badass in all of his armor.
He kind of, he did. I didn't even think about that. Well, I was just like, there's Mark Ruffalo.
The Roman feathery helmet kind of looks silly on him, but it's cool. It's cool.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. What's our next story?
Okay, so it is Guillermo del Toro is in talks of directing the next Star Wars movie of Jabba the Hutt, and it's supposed to be like a Godfather type of film. And Ryan, what do you think about this?
Well, wait. When it's said that it's like a Godfather movie, does that mean like he's going to be
confused
the
too.
mob boss?
So yeah, it would.
Okay.
They would take it from like a Michael Corleone rising to power type of thing,
But with a fat CGI character.
with a fat slug.
Okay.
And
So Marlon Brando, essentially.
Back to you, Ryan.
I mean, the first issue that comes to mind with this is like, how fast is Jabba the Hutt? How is he moving around? I don't know how this story could really follow him anywhere. because if he's a slug, he might take a bit to walk around.
Hey,
which
that's
is this
prejudice.
Well, not
horrible
walking,
complaint.
sliding.
That's
Yeah,
prejudice
sliding
against slugs.
But
Ryan.
like, I just don't get how this would work. I mean, it always seemed like he was just kind of sitting down in one building somewhere every time he made an appearance. So that's my gripe with it, and it's too early for me to have any other opinion. I just don't get
in
it.
the special edition, he did go visit Han Solo. To be honest,
The CGI is so bad too.
oh, he steps on the tail. Ooh,
This is just early talks. They don't think it's actually going to happen. What I laughed at is Guillermo del Toro said Star Wars has a lot of great characters, but Jabba the Hutt's always been my favorite because he's the one I look the most alike.
poor Guillermo.
which is funny. Guillermo's a really good visionary storyteller, so I think that could work in the Star Wars universe. But Jabba the Hutt like doesn't speak English. Like, you know, he has his own, I don't know if people in the mainstream audience would want to watch subtitles for an entire movie, especially with Star Wars. They'd rather just see
That's
a blockbuster.
sad, but it's true.
I would I would like to see it though. I think it could be so cool of like Jabba the Hutt rising to power and Boba Fett doing his dirty work to get there. Like, I think there's some cool angles they could do, but in terms of a mainstream audience, one, Guillermo del Toro isn't a mainstream storyteller.
Nope.
So I don't think that he is a ideal choice for what they would want to do. I'd be for it, but I don't know if everyone else would. Like, I think Matthew Vaughn might be a better choice to do a mainstream Star Wars movie.
I would agree with you, Mike, that the main audience that they want to target would not really get into this. Like, it's just going to be a fan thing. But the reason I would be interested in this movie is because of Guillermo del Toro. But my big problem is, especially what happened after Rogue One. I know Mike really likes Rogue One, but for me, it felt like there was a vision that got re-edited down at the last minute. And I know Guillermo can have a vision, and I'm worried that Disney will not like his vision at the end, and they will re-edit it.
Yeah, and I don't think he's ever worked with them before.
Nope.
And, you know, I mean, we'll see, but that's kind of... Do we have any more thoughts on that?
No.
That's about all I have.
Okay. So, our next bit of news comes from... Well, I don't know who it comes from, but Jude Law has been cast as Youngledore, the young Dumbledore, in the Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them sequel. Personally, I think this is fantastic casting. Jude Law is an actor that has a wide range of acting, and I think he can play that character that has a lot of wisdom. I know Dan would probably have the most choice words on this because he's the Harry Potter guy here, but I personally think this is great casting. I love the first Fantastic Beasts. I'm excited for the sequel, and I'm interested to see the dynamic between Jude Law and Johnny Depp because Grindelwald, who Johnny Depp plays, and Dumbledore have a history together. So I'm interested to see where that story goes. But I couldn't be happier that they casted Jude Law. I wanted Jared Harris because he's Richard Harris's son, the guy who played Dumbledore and died. And to put it bluntly, but
Spoiler alert.
you know, it's almost like the throne was made for him, but that's not how it worked out. And they casted Jude Law, and I'm interested to see him in a lot of makeup and prosthetics, having a long beard. Ryan, what do you think of this?
As someone who hasn't seen Fantastic Beasts, the first one, and doesn't plan to watch the rest of the franchise, I like Harry Potter. I just don't care to see it.
I get what you mean.
I think this is great casting. This is a really good piece of casting right here. Jude Law, great actor. Not to mention, I think the soft timbre in his voice kind of matches that sort of sentimental value that we get in Dumbledore's voice, if that makes any sense. So yeah, great casting. But other than that, I got nothing. Brookshire?
I'm a guy that has seen the Harry Potter movies and enjoys them very thoroughly. Fantastic Beasts did not interest me. I like Jude Law, but
did you see it?
I did not.
I suggest you do though. Even so,
I've been meaning
it's an entertaining movie.
I've been wanting to see it. It wasn't something like the Harry Potter movies where I have to go see this movie.
What they did correctly with Fantastic Beasts was bringing back David Yates to direct, who did the I think last 4 movies of the Harry Potter franchise. So. And the tone felt the same, and that's what I really like. But I didn't even think about that. The soft timbre in Jude Law's voice is perfect.
Especially with Richard Harris in the original, too. His voice was fantastic.
Yeah.
That's why it sucks that Richard Harris was no longer Dumbledore.
I did like Michael Gambon a lot.
Well, he was good, but Richard Harris just perfect.
Yeah. But, I think we all can agree that, Jude Law in anything is not bad.
Yeah.
He's awesome.
The young Pope, am I right?
Have you been watching The Young Pope?
No.
I've been hearing he's good in it, but
Yeah.
I'm done with this. Done with The Young Pope.
Our next story is news about the casting for Deadpool 2. It's been anticipated by fans. People have been clamoring to find out.
We've talked about it on this show once or twice.
People have been clamoring to find out who is going to be cast as the character called Cable. And it finally has come to us that Josh Brolin will be playing Cable in Deadpool 2. What do you guys think about this?
You go, Alex.
Oh, thank you. I think it's very interesting because Josh Brolin is not the youngest man around, so I'm kind of worried maybe the physicality during like doing the actual fight scenes he may not be able to do.
The character of Cable is an older character.
Okay, I have not read the comics. That is my bias right there. But I was really hoping Stephen Lang, they would be able to get him. He seemed, from all the things I've seen of Cable, like pictures and stuff and drawings, Stephen Lang looked like he could perfectly fill that role. I was also thinking Jeffrey Dean Morgan. He could make a very good Cable just by his look. Ron Perlman would make an interesting casting choice as well. And then also David Harbour from Stranger Things. I was really rooting for him because he's an up-and-coming actor. So I was hoping he would be able to make it big in this Deadpool 2 movie.
Okay.
So do you not like the casting of Josh Brolin?
I think Brolin will make it work. It's just I got to see him like in the role first, like to like make it. Like, give me the opinion.
Yeah. A lot of times with our news, we always get so much speculation that it's even hard to really say anything without losing your credit on things. So it might be too early to say before we really get a picture or maybe a clip, but I'm behind it. Mike?
I'm behind it too. I will say though, I love Josh Brolin, but since he's already playing Thanos, I wanted to see somebody else in the role. Yeah. Thanos is going to be the villain in the next Avengers movie, so he's already
in
the
damn time. They've been teasing him forever.
Right? He's already in the superhero realm, and I personally, like you said, David Harbour. I wanted David Harbour or Michael Shannon. I would have loved to see Michael Shannon.
Great choice.
He could have been so funny, but Brolin will work. He definitely will. I can see him with the half cyborg face and the gray hair, 100%. He has perfect grip whenever he comes to the screen, but I just wanted somebody else. But it's who they casted, and I don't hate it. Josh Brolin's a great actor.
Could you say Brolin has true grit?
I see what you did there. I see what you did.
You're welcome, audience.
Josh Brolin's in True Grit.
Yes, thank you, Mike. Thank you for pointing out the obvious.
That was that's what he was going for there. Alex didn't really deliver the punchline perfectly.
I mean, it's still funny.
Anyway. Any more thoughts, Ryan?
No, I'm good. What's our next story?
All right, our next story is it has been announced that Fede Alvarez, the director of Don't Breathe and the Evil Dead remake, is going to direct a sequel to the movie Labyrinth. Not a remake, but in fact a sequel that takes place in the original universe. Mike, what do you think about this?
Can you explain to me the original one that has David Bowie, right?
Yes.
What is the storyline?
It is about Jennifer Connelly is a brat who screams a lot, and she wishes her younger brother away. Again, I haven't seen it, but I know I'm a big movie guy, so I know about it. And then the Goblin King, played by David Bowie, rest in peace, comes and takes the child, and she regrets it immediately and has to go through this big old labyrinth with a bunch of Jim Henson Muppets.
Is it a horror?
I've seen it. It's not spooky. It's spooky in a kid's sense, and the Jim Henson creatures, this was in the mid 80s, so that's when Jim Henson started to get like scary with his creations. And it's not a horror movie, but it freaked the hell out of me, and I watched it last year for the first time.
You don't like it though, right, Ryan?
No, I actually don't like this movie, and I'm not too sure how I feel about it. It just wasn't a good movie. They threw in a huge budget. They paid David Bowie $65 million to do it. So they made a huge loss. It actually put a big impression on Jim Henson's life. Like, he went into a bit of a depression when it didn't really kick. And
it's okay. He made the 1990 Ninja Turtles movie, so everything was better.
But I mean, I'm not really behind this being made, but I think the director's good, so let's see it.
That's what I was saying. From what I've heard I guess from I don't know a lot about this project, so I'm not going to pretend like I do. I really like this director. Don't Breathe was a fucking great movie last year. It was so scary. His remake of Evil Dead was also really creepy too. People wanted to compare it to the original, but it stood by itself. I thought really well. It was really gory. And if they make this a horror movie, I will be behind it.
It might be.
And it's a sequel. So yeah, those are my only thoughts on it. I think this guy has a good grasp on the horror genre. So if he makes it a horror, I'll be behind it, but again, I have to see the original, and I don't know much about it.
I wouldn't recommend it.
I cannot praise Fede Alvarez enough. I love the Evil Dead remake. I'm a big horror guy. I loved Don't Breathe. Such originality. That's the type of thing Hollywood needs to put out more nowadays. Even though I haven't seen the original, just because he's behind it, I am excited already. Anything he's behind, I'm excited for.
Sure.
Would you rather him do this or another original movie?
I would rather him do an original movie, but if it's him deciding to want to make this movie, I'm okay. It's not a paycheck for him. As long as he wants to make this movie, he's creatively behind it, I'm down.
All right.
What's our next one?
Our next piece of news comes. Why do I keep saying comes from? We don't fucking write down
I sometimes
the
say
articles.
Source. Whatever.
But
there's news.
But the movie Triple Frontier, which was supposed to be about the drug trade between Argentina and a couple other
South American countries.
Yeah, South American countries. Had originally Tom Hardy, Channing Tatum, and Mahershala Ali cast as the three main characters, which is a great cast to begin with. 2 Oscar nominees and 1 future to be Oscar nominee in Channing Tatum, probably.
Oh, if Foxcatcher has anything to say, definitely.
Yeah. And a good director in J.C. Chandor, who did A Most Violent Year. And so I was really excited for this movie. I thought it was going to be gritty and everything. And now it's coming out that Paramount is dropping the picture, as is Tom Hardy and Channing Tatum, due to creatively differences because J.C. Chandor changed the script. And I was looking, this movie was supposed to go into production next month, and now it drops 2 of its main stars, and that's a bad sign to begin with. But it's just a bummer. I really wanted to see Hardy, especially Hardy and Ali, go back and forth and share some scenes together, because that could have been some great dialogue and intense acting, because those guys are on top of the game right now. But I don't know. It's just a bummer that they dropped the project, which sounded like a super interesting story too. So what'd you think, Alex?
Well, for me, despite that being a great cast, I just didn't really know much about the project. So I couldn't really get excited for the project in the first place, to be let down by this happening. I mean, from all Mike is saying about the project, it did sound like it would be really good. I haven't seen any of the director's previous films, The Most Violent Year or Margin Call.
I think he wrote All Is Lost too. I don't know if he directed it.
Oh, the Robert Redford movie?
Yeah, where he's on like a raft.
I believe so. It has an interesting cast, but that's really all I can say about it. I just didn't know anything about it to get excited for.
Does it bum you out that this will not come together though?
I kind of wanted to see Channing Tatum and Tom Hardy together. That'd be an interesting pair up right there. And Mahershala Ali in anything is exciting now after Moonlight. I loved Moonlight, by the way.
Ryan?
So, not knowing anything about what this movie was, it seemed like a very good cast. I didn't know anything about this movie until you told me about it, Mike. It seems that this stuff might happen a lot in Hollywood, but we just get so much news and so much early media hype that I think we're going to be seeing more of these kinds of things, of people dropping out of movies. And it sucks to picture these kind of great scenes that these actors might have together, but unfortunately these things happen. But it sucks, and we'll never know.
We will not see Tom Hardy, Channing Tatum, and Mahershala Ali be drug dealers going to war against each other. Man, that
once in a lifetime opportunity, isn't that?
Yeah, like I bet none of them share a movie now. But I don't know. For me, it's just a bummer. That's such a good cast.
If Tom Hardy wants to be in Magic Mike 3, I would be okay with that.
Well, it also comes back to, we talk about Hardy, because he's always in the news. It also came to my mind that maybe he doesn't have time in his schedule to shoot this. He realized
he has a TV show now too.
He is in 2 TV shows. He's in Peaky Blinders and he's in Taboo. And Taboo just got renewed, and he just shot the second season of Peaky Blinders. and he's shooting an Al Capone movie later this year. So it's like, when does he have time for another movie in there? You know what I'm saying? So maybe that's it. I don't know, but that's kind of the end of that.
All right.
Our final bit of news is that the Star Wars The Last Jedi trailer has dropped, and before I give my
Is that coming
input-
out or something?
in December.
I never heard about
December
this.
this one
Christmas.
comes out.
What?
Ryan, what did you think of this trailer?
So they released this trailer. Was it for the last day of the Star Wars Celebration?
It was yesterday. Star Wars Celebration's still going
Okay.
on, so it was yesterday.
So the Star Wars convention, Star Wars Celebration, still going on. But yesterday they released the trailer as well as a poster, and this was
Great poster, by the way.
Very good.
And it was
reminds
a
me
great-
of Tron also.
great trailer. We got just about everything we wanted to see in there. Kind of hints at the tone that everyone was sort of expecting, because there's been so much speculation, even since just the title was announced. But absolutely great fan service in this trailer. I can't wait. I just hope that we see nothing more about the plot and that it stays at what it is now.
They did a good job with The Force Awakens of keeping the plot under wraps too.
Yeah.
I would agree.
And for me, with this trailer, which I thought was great, but you heard Luke Skywalker speak for the first time in 30 years. And it sounded like Luke Skywalker, but he sounded aged too.
Yeah.
So it kind of hit me in the gut when especially the last line when he's like, "It's time for the Jedi to end." I was like, damn, what's going to happen? But I like you get the little shots of, first off, Rey's narration, which I thought was really cool, the bouncing back between Rey and Luke talking. I love the shot of Kylo's helmet melted.
That was
And
nice.
yeah, and you get a shot of him without it. He's got a scarred face and he's turning his lightsaber. The only thing, I'm not disappointed, but I wanted one shot of Benicio del Toro's character.
Oh, that's right. He is in this movie.
And he's apparently going to have a pretty big role as a villain, but I am not upset they kept it under wraps, because you go into the movie and you're like, oh shit. But yeah, I love the use of the music. I love that Rian Johnson's directing this movie, who did Looper, which is a super underrated movie. There was a ton of beautiful wide shots of that island they shoot on. I forget the name of it.
That
the
was
one
beautiful.
Yeah, they had the wide shot with the water, and then they had an overhead shot of the entire. And they had a extreme long of Rey practicing with the lightsaber and Luke watching from a distance.
Talk about beauty, Daisy Ridley in like the first shot. I was so happy. Looking fantastic, she still is.
Yeah, Alex, what'd you think?
Everyone knows that I like Star Wars, but I'm not in love with Star Wars as Mike and Dan are, and I'm imagining Ryan loves.
Ryan's
Star
not in love with it. He's
I
a
don't
fan.
care too much.
So I'm about with Ryan. I like the Star Wars movies. I've watched them all a couple times, but never gone like millions of times as a lot of people have. With teaser trailers, I've been trying to keep my expectations down, because Rogue One, I was very excited for that movie. And even though I liked that movie, I was still heavily disappointed because of how much hype that trailer gave me. This trailer is very subtle. It does not give away too much. It just is brief. And that's probably the perfect thing to do for Star Wars, is be brief, just give you a feeling, give you music, give you visuals, and that's all it needs to do.
All they need is one more trailer too.
Like
That's
the
it.
next trailer needs to just be a little longer, give you maybe a few dialogue, but I would say that's all they need to do. Like, they have it, they've gotten the fans down now, and they've gotten most of the audience hooked.
Rogue One had like 3 or 4 trailers, but they had to sell their audience, this is not the sequel, and this is a movie that is a prequel. It's a different movie. With this one, you see Rey and Kylo pop up, you know it's the sequel. Mm-hmm. So you don't need all these trailers, couple TV spots, and one more trailer, and I think, they're fine.
I would agree. I do, even though I can't get too excited for it because it's just a teaser, I do think it's a perfect amount to show, though.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It's just I'm trying to tamper down my expectations because Hollywood disappoints so often.
This is true.
Yeah.
We will be disappointed more this year.
Independence Day resurgence. There wasn't much hype for it, but anything.
Why is that the movie that comes to mind?
Because people people wanted that movie so bad since Independence Day 1. Then they release it, and everyone hates that movie.
I would say there's been way more movies besides that one that had hype around it that failed.
Jurassic World, in my opinion. Didn't fail, but...
Anyway.
Let's keep it to the Star Wars.
Yeah,
here.
let's keep it to the Star
Any
Wars.
closing thoughts?
No.
All right. Yeah, me neither.
Christmas can't come faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, don't reveal too much. That's it. That's our news for this week. Moving into our next topic, we saw a movie this week. We saw Fate of the Furious, the 8th installment of the Fast and Furious franchise. We are gonna try and change our format a bit. We're gonna go around, say the good, the bad, and then give our final score.
The ugly.
Yeah.
And are we gonna get? Into,
I fucking knew you were gonna say that.
And are we gonna get into spoilers and just keep it at spoilers?
Oh
What do you guys
yes,
wanna do?
please.
Okay, so
I've got some things about spoilers.
Okay.
do you want to do spoilers after or during?
Yeah, it's always spoilers after.
Spoilers after.
Spoilers
okay,
after.
so let's keep it brief then, or spoiler free. Mike, why don't you start us off? What's the good?
The good is the banter. Actually, everything The Rock did in this movie, I mostly loved. I liked a lot of what Statham did, and I thought they were the shining stars of this of this cast. Did I say cat?
Almost.
Hey,
Of this cat.
They would make fantastic cats.
They
as well.
were the best part of the movie. I can't say the rest. I can't say the rest of the cast was good, but they definitely gave this movie some life that it needed. And the third act was by far my favorite. I thought it returned to its roots of not being too over the top, but just over the top enough. Now hold on. There's some shit in the middle that is too over the top, and I would say the end is a little better than the rest. But hey, again, this is my part. I thought the third act was the best part, and it delivered, and it was somewhat intense. But yeah, those are my positives.
All right.
It was. I can't wait for the negatives.
Mike can't hold back his excitement for this film.
Fuck. You go, Ryan.
Okay, so the good, just I guess the scope. This movie goes to a lot of different places. There's unique set pieces and sort of fun action that keeps you inside of it. It's
Some of the action's fun.
yeah, it's
You have to admit,
mindless.
Ryan.
You just shut off and you watch it. It was fun in that regard. I was
They
like,
drew-
oh hey,
They drove cars.
yeah. It was they're like, look where these cars are now. I enjoyed that. That's all I got on the good.
Listen, we know that you're not supposed to be overly critical of these movies,
Yeah.
but
It goes places.
Fuck.
Let's get
This
it.
one
Let's
is
save the
deep.
bad for
Oh
when we
my
come
God.
next round here. Brookshire, what do you got?
Looks like I'm gonna be the quote unquote fan of this movie in this conversation.
Uh-huh.
I had a few more good things than both of these fellas. The Rock and Statham, fantastic. Like almost highly recommended just to go see them in their scenes. It's so good. The best action scene definitely in the prison. Not saying what happens.
oh shit, yeah.
But
that was a
that-
great scene.
That was definitely the best fight scene probably since 5, I believe, because 6 and 7 didn't really have fight scenes, really. when
I'd
you think
agree.
about it.
I would agree.
I think Michelle Rodriguez was actually pretty good in this film. I liked her.
Okay.
I'm probably
I could buy into that.
I'm probably by my own there, but yeah, I would say that's. And I also liked. I thought it was very fun. It did not feel its length whatsoever. Like for me, when we got to the third act, I'm like, oh, this movie's gonna end soon. Not saying I went with everything that happened. I just didn't feel the time, which makes pain a lot less easier.
Mike, what's the bad?
What's the bad?
This movie's not terrible. There's some fun segments in it. It ain't even close to 5, 6, or 7, which I like all of them. And I
Agreed.
really like 5, but this movie's disappointed me so much because I thought F. Gary Gray, who was coming off of Straight Outta Compton, which was a
Very good.
very
movie.
good movie with great performances. Action is not this guy's forte.
This guy directed Friday, not an action movie whatsoever.
No. So I think his two best movies, Friday, Straight Outta Compton, not action movies. And this one, he missed, and there's a lot of shaky cam. The action's hard to follow at times.
Very close up for car chases. Very, very close
Yeah,
up shots.
there's like, even you said scope. Yes, the sets had some scope, but like in the action sequences there wasn't.
Yeah, no, I just meant settings.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And what else? They in the previous 3, they relied heavily on gunfights and hand-to-hand combat. Besides the third act, there was almost none of that in this movie.
That's true. The prison fight was like the only thing,
yeah,
really.
which the prison fight and the end were my 2 favorite parts. And then there are 2 really awful car chases in this movie that are hard to follow and are just too. We'll talk about that in the spoilers, but they were just too over the top for me. The action was just too much at times. It wasn't even fun. It was just dumb.
I was smiling a lot, but it was because I was just like, where the hell are they gonna go like from here?
And then who was one of my favorites in the previous movies was Tyrese Gibson, which they Roman. They overused his comedy so much in this movie to the point where he was just annoying and just screaming the entire time. I do like though when The Rock says, why are you always yelling? Mm-hmm. That was funny how they played upon that, but this cast was a bummer, man. Tyrese Gibson didn't deliver. Charlize Theron was bad.
Oh, she
terrible
was
character, and she couldn't
not
do
just
anything.
badly written. She is terrible in this movie.
Yeah.
Her dreads,
Ryan,
long.
what were like a couple of the lines she gave that were like so?
I want to get into that in spoiler territory.
Oh,
I don't want to go there yet.
And then my last negative, I guess I'll say, is the story made no sense.
That's
Charlize Theron's motives I didn't get it, and
Yeah.
I don't know, but I'm trying to. This movie sounds worse than it is
I would
because
agree.
you can't be overly critical.
Well, the thing is, we're bagging on the movie for like technical things like the plot and stuff. But the thing is, what it comes down to is I had a lot of fun with this movie, which almost like redeemed the whole thing for me.
All these plots need to be as simple, but they also need to make sense. And this one didn't make a ton of sense.
They tried to make it like complex and stuff.
You started with the negatives with me, Ryan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you go now.
Okay.
I talked for way too long.
I think this was a bad movie. I thought that
Tell us your real feelings,
quite
Ryan.
literally everybody had a bad performance, and some people in there weren't. I would not consider to be bad actors, but I just think that they gave bad performances. Some scenes were well written. Some people had fun banter, like The Rock and Jason Statham, like you guys said. But a lot of other times they were really bad, and some of the humor fell flat. I would say actually most of it. But my biggest gripe with these movies is that people say, well, you can't go in expecting something great. You have to shut your mind off during this movie, and then you can have fun. That's not how this works. That's not how movies work.
True.
You can't give anything an excuse because it's that franchise. That doesn't excuse any dumb, badly written scenes. That doesn't excuse the production. The moment we start doing that is the moment that we lose like how well
That's
movies
true.
are made.
It's almost like you're giving leeway to blockbusters, which
not
isn't fair. No.
like that you'll see that a lot with Star Wars, to name one off the top of my head. A lot of people, when you present some of the flaws in the movies, they'll say, oh well, you can't, it's Star Wars, it's fine. Well,
I
no,
agree.
it still can have flaws.
True.
It was kind of a fun movie, but I wouldn't recommend it. I thought it was a waste of time. I would have rather seen Boss Baby this weekend. But that's my bad. Brookshire, what do you got?
All right, the plot. This is god awful. I don't know who wrote this movie. Vin Diesel, for all we know, could have written this movie with the dialogue that goes on in this movie. It's the technical stuff between Ludacris and the girl is just jargon for jargon's sake. They don't make any coherent sense.
That scene when Kurt Russell's like, watch this. I was like, oh my God, this is awful.
It goes at times. It goes way too over the top. The opening was terrible. I was just sitting in my seat bewildered by what I saw. Like, I can't believe they did that. The ending, the middle car scene that I know Mike wants to talk about. I think in the trailers that we all know Vin Diesel goes rogue. I think the reason they give is very trite and not set up very well. And yeah, I just think overall it's more of the written stuff and the directing that
bothered you.
Yeah. Like, even though I had fun with this movie and I cannot like push that enough, I still had fun, but it did not make up for all these flaws this movie had.
Who directed 6?
It was still Jeremy Lin? Jeremy Lin, that's it.
Was it Lin?
Yeah.
Justin Lin.
Justin Lin, that's it.
I want him to come back. It's kind of his franchise.
It is his franchise.
And it's more fun when they do that, but
I would be okay with James Wan coming back. I liked his direction in 7.
In 7, yeah. I agree.
All right. Well, if we can get into spoilers now, this is spoiler territory. If you don't want to be spoiled for the movie, stop.
Leave.
Stop listening. We're
Mike,
gonna get into it.
We always say that. Look at the timestamp for when the spoilers end.
Come on.
And then watch
have
the
a
last
brain.
segment.
That's true.
You're the one telling them to leave, Alex. What are you talking about?
Sorry, guys. Come back. Please. I did not mean it. We love you.
All right, let's get into spoilers.
Mike, bring up the scene in the middle that you really want to talk about.
When she's like gets this thing where she just can control technology in cars.
She being who?
Charlize Theron.
Okay.
And all the cars are just driving. She can control every car in the city. And it's so dumb and over the top that I was literally, it was so stupid. It was, I don't know how else to explain it. It's just like, oh, I can control every car in the city and I'm going to cause collisions everywhere.
I love how like people get angry at Man of Steel, even though I did get angry at Man of Steel, how many people they probably hurt. How many people would they have killed in this movie is ridiculous.
Yeah.
Oh, literally too. One of the crashes in that scene, I could literally tell it was a dummy flailing and not a person. I shit you not.
Hey,
That's funny.
Dummies have feelings too, Mike.
And so yeah, I thought that middle car chase was so bad. It literally took the movie down a whole grade for me. And it was long.
It
was
tried to be
15
like
minutes.
the big action scene. It did not work.
Now, what was cool is when they were all pinning Vin Diesel down with the harpoons.
I did like that.
I thought that was cool. And then
It's
and then he
everything
pulled-
with the zombie cars
and
that
then,
sucks.
Okay. How the fuck is Helen Mirren just happened to be in that city too when he pulls over?
And it's
and-
pretty obvious.
and he's like,
Helen Mirren's British. Jason Statham's British. Luke Evans. No, not Luke Evans.
Luke Evans.
Luke Evans is British. Are they related? I wonder.
Yeah. Then they turn out to
Yeah,
be.
they kept showing Luke Evans in pictures, and I'm like, he's gonna be at the end of this movie. And so that was bad, and then the beginning car chase was bad as well.
Oh my god.
It was called the Cuban Mile, and the chase goes on for 10 minutes.
Fast and Furious has this problem where they cannot measure distances very well. In a car chase movie, you think that'd be pretty easy.
Sometimes shorter's better, and you're left wanting more.
I would like to agree with that. All ladies, please agree with that as well.
This movie contains what Robert J. Ebert would famously call an idiot plot, meaning that if the characters simply communicated in a normal way that people communicate, none of that plot would have happened. So you see,
Vin Diesel
throughout the
could
film-
just go tell someone, hey, she has my ex-wife and my son.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go stop her.
So,
There are many points in the film where Vin Diesel sneaks away from the supervision of the terrorists who have him under as a
Surveillance,
hostage.
yeah.
He walks away from them in hiding and is able to make contact with a few different people.
Given
And-
5 minutes.
Yeah.
yeah.
And you'd think that at any point he would be able to, in some way, get to his team and say something so they could work something out, but they didn't. And it's little things like that actually make a huge mistake for the entire movie.
Ryan, you're clearly missing the point. Vin Diesel has this plan all figured out in his mind.
Oh
already.
yeah,
I don't think
how it just became this like master plan at the end.
Yeah, it wasn't.
I actually kind
It
of
was bad.
enjoyed when they brought back the guys who were the paramedics with Jason Statham. They were from 5. I kind of like that. They brought back more characters.
why are they there?
I mean, I agree. I just kind of like seeing them, but that's just me.
A little bit of overplayed fan service.
Yeah.
Actually, that's
In your face fan service.
Yeah, it's like Rogue One whenever they had the people from the cantina in there.
Yeah. Any other thoughts here, guys?
I mean,
Had fun, but again, the bad outweighs the good. In
oh
this
shit, we
scenario.
didn't give our
I was just gonna
our
get to it.
grade in the
Oh, we're getting there.
Yeah.
Okay, so
all right, so let's get there now. So we are following the Goldblum scale. That is
Yes.
a 1 to 5 Goldblums. I would give this film a 2 out of 5 Goldblums, but you guys had it at a 2.5.
2.5. It's
yeah.
like it's fun, but again, like it's the bad outweighs the good enough to bring it down to
A
2.5.
collaborative mean of 2.5.
Yeah, I would agree with
2.5
that.
Goldblums.
It's a buckaroo banzai and a half, guys.
That's
Yeah.
correct. And
Little-
so, I mean, that basically means like it's a bad movie, but you could see it, But I wouldn't recommend it.
If you are a
in any
fan,
way.
if you are a fan of the franchise,
You will like this.
I wouldn't even say like. I
you
would
will
say
enjoy
it.
Yes. As
So-
me and Mike are more of a fan than Ryan, we enjoyed it still.
So I would say wait till it's on TV if you're a
But
fan.
then you
Yeah.
don't get to see the cool spectacle and all the asses
fuck
on
all
the
that.
big screen, guys.
Fuck all that. 2.5 Goldblums. Moving on to next. Do we have? I don't know if we have a review coming next week, but I can't wait to see a new movie in theaters to get this one out of my brain. I really want to see Lost City of Z.
Yeah, if we don't end up getting to see a movie in theaters next week, let's just watch a movie that's been out and
Alright,
review
that's a
good point.
That might
Or
be fun.
just watch like a classic. and review.
Yeah, we might do that.
Yeah, get this poor taste out of our mouths from Life and this one.
Moving
I
on.
already forgot the name.
Thanks for bringing us all down, Mike. Appreciate it.
Moving on. We have a new sort of segment here. We're gonna do overrated and underrated. Each of us brought in a few movies on a list here. We're gonna talk about it and say if we think it's overrated or underrated.
And we have not talked before.
No.
We unanimously
There you go.
brought in our lists, and we will give our case for if we think the movie is overrated or underrated. Not all of us have seen every movie, so we can't make the assumption on all of them, but we're gonna try.
Yeah, and we're not the overall authority on if these movies are or aren't.
I
No, but
disagree.
it's just our
I
opinion.
disagree. My opinion's the correct opinion, Ryan.
We'll see
three,
about that.
three assholes sitting at a $34 card table talking about overrated and underrated.
If only
Don't
we had
forget.
35.
So, who has this first movie here on the list?
Okay, so I am the first movie on the list. I am talking about Sing Street. Have either of you seen this film?
I saw Sing Street.
Okay,
No, I
Mike,
haven't.
what do you think of Sing Street?
Sing Street is so underrated. Should have gotten nominated for Best Picture. Jack Rayner should have gotten nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Thank
And
you.
it should have gotten a Best Original Song, which is
Drive It Like You Stole It.
Drive It Like You Stole It.
Best song in a movie of all last year in a while.
What I like, I would say City of Stars, but that's not the point. If we're gonna stick to this movie, it's just such a great theme, such a great story.
Brothers like sticking together.
Literally, the end title says "For Brothers
There's-
Everywhere."
I almost cried at that.
Yeah,
I almost cried. That's how much this movie affected me. The Weinstein Company fucked up with the Oscar push for this movie. They didn't put
did
time.
they have another movie to push?
I think
they did. Right?
they were pushing another movie, I believe, but this is the movie they should have pushed. I know they would have gotten a Best Original Song if they had pushed for it. Jack Rayner was fantastic.
Stoner Brother.
He was. The main kid, I loved him. I loved the main girl. The acting in these kids is something that you don't see in kids a lot. Is like they take the characters and make them their own.
Yeah, I think this is a movie that makes a point of you can't always blame child actors. You blame the director.
Definitely.
And this director, I don't know who it is, but he was fucking awesome.
He made Begin Again, which had Keira Knightley and Adam Levine and Mark Ruffalo, which that got a Best Original Song nomination at the Oscars. And he also made this movie called, it's an Irish movie. I forget the title, but it was also nominated for an Oscar.
This movie took place in Ireland too.
Yeah, I believe he's Irish.
Ryan,
That would
I
make
highly
sense.
recommend you see this.
Ryan,
I
It's
wanted to, I just
super
never
underrated.
Ryan,
did.
are you going to go see it now based off our opinions?
Maybe not.
Maybe not.
What's our next
Thanks,
movie?
Ryan. All right. The next movie I have brought to the list is called Lucy. Have either of you seen this film?
I didn't because of how much fan protest there
Well,
was.
let me just tell you about Lucy. This movie made $126 million domestically. This movie has a 67% on Rotten Tomatoes. It has a 6.4 on IMDb and a 61 Metacritic score. And this fucking movie sucks ass.
Yeah?
The only good thing about this movie is Scarlett Johansson, and she's not even great. She's just passable.
So you're saying this is overrated?
No, yes, this movie is
Okay.
overrated. $126 million to this pile of garbage I do not understand. 67% to this movie is a pile of garbage. This movie is pretentious. Luc Besson tries to be 2001: A Space Odyssey, which he is nothing like. Morgan Freeman sucks in this movie, and you know that's bad.
What's the line where he's like, humans can only use 10% of their brain or something?
She has used 100%.
Which ain't fucking true to begin with.
Yeah.
It's not a real stat. And
Limitless and this movie lied to us, guys.
Limitless is a better movie than that.
Oh, you better believe it is. This movie is, I cannot rant
Doesn't
on
she
this
become
movie.
like a telepath?
She becomes, like, she goes into the network. It's kind of like Lawnmower Man, where she disintegrates. She doesn't become a person anymore, and she goes into the network as, like, electricity or some shit.
126 million is so ridiculous when movies like...
You know why? It's because it was an action movie, and people wanted to see
I always
an
bring
action.
Edge of Tomorrow bombed. And
Oh.
Edge of Tomorrow kicks ass. That's I kind of wish I put that on
Mike,
here
you
as
just made me
underrated.
depressed for our world that Lucy made money and Edge of Tomorrow didn't. Thank
But-
you.
Well, it's Live Free or Die Hard. Live Free or... What the fuck's it called? Live, Die, and Repeat. That's what they
oh,
changed
okay,
the title
yeah.
to. Live Free or Die Hard. Different movie.
That's a very different
What's our
movie.
next film here?
Okay. I have the next film on this list, Jackie Brown by Quentin Tarantino. Have either of you seen this film?
No.
Yes.
Mike, what do you think of Jackie Brown?
I think it's good. I can't call it... Actually, you know what? No, it's underrated.
Because
It
whenever
definitely
you
is.
think of Quentin Tarantino, you first think of Pulp Fiction, you think of his modern ones. Everyone forgets about Jackie Brown. It was his third
it came
film.
after. This is why I think people forget about it. Is he was fresh off of Reservoir Dogs and Pulp Fiction.
Yeah,
which
this was
are-
his third film.
And
yes.
people, the general audience. I know you don't feel the same way, but the general audience this movie wasn't as good as those to them, and that's probably why it gets overlooked. Not a bad movie to them, just not as good. And
It only has a 64 on Metacritic, which blows my mind.
yeah, but it's 87 on Rotten Tomatoes.
yes, but still.
The Robert Forster, is that his name?
Nominated for an Oscar. Fantastic.
He's fantastic. Sam Jackson as Ordell Roby, fantastic.
Chris Tucker. Oh,
Robert De Niro. I don't want Downey Jr. Good movie.
but
Just very different than what Quentin normally does.
you can't talk about Jackie Brown without mentioning Pam Grier, who should have been nominated for an Oscar as Jackie Brown. Pam Grier is a fox in this movie. Pam Grier dominates the screen every time she's in it, and it's a travesty she was not nominated because she would not likely never have the opportunity again.
Other than the Oscars, what else would you say makes this movie underrated?
I think the soundtrack could be considered underrated because whenever you think of a soundtrack, you think of Pulp Fiction, of Miserlou, you think of Django Unchained with all of its different influences.
Yeah.
But this one, Across 110th Street, by Bobby Womack, is my absolute favorite Quentin Tarantino used
This
song.
movie definitely fits in with the rest of his movies. Not not tonally wise, it's very different than the rest.
More
of his,
talky
less violent, which it works. It does. This movie doesn't have to be violent.
This movie, like Quentin, is more constrained in this movie, and that's why I think it's.
It might have been more
one
of a
his best.
studio picture.
I don't want to say that because I don't think Quentin would ever make a studio picture.
That's a good point. But yeah, good movie. I would agree with it being underrated in terms of Tarantino movies.
Yeah.
Yes.
I haven't seen the next one.
Oh
I haven't seen it either. Should we just skip it then?
no! I want to talk about Drive Angry
All right.
because this movie, it only made $11 million adjusted. It has a 46% on Rotten Tomatoes, a 5.5 on IMDb, and a 44 on Metacritic. And this movie's actually pretty good. It's a Nick Cage movie, which I know, keep listening, please. I'm not crazy. But it's supposed to be like a throwback to these old 70s movies that are just over the top and fun. And I think a lot of the critics misunderstood this film. They thought it was trying to go for something. It's not. It knows exactly what it is. William Fichtner in this movie as the devil is fantastic. He is cheese at its best. If you see this movie, Brendan, he is cheese at its finest.
Like cheesy?
Is that a saying?
Yeah.
Never heard that.
He should have some
I
wine
kind of
next
like
to
it.
He should have some wine with him in the film because it pairs well with his cheese. But I think just critics misunderstood what this movie was going for. This movie is a ton of fun. I remember watching it again on cable, and I was brought right back to just the good sense of a grindhouse film. And I think more people should watch it and just give it a chance.
All right. Next.
All right. The next film is an Oscar winner that won 4 Oscars. It's called Traffic from 2000 by Steven Soderbergh. Either of you seen this film?
No, not once.
Ryan's list
Thanks,
is
Ryan.
next, so we'll give Ryan some input.
Yeah.
I feel bad blocking him out. I've
Sorry,
seen
Ryan.
Traffic.
No worries, it happens.
I tried.
I've seen Traffic. Traffic's overrated. It's a good. I like it. I don't consider it bad, but it's definitely overrated. Benicio del Toro is fantastic, and Don Cheadle is fantastic, but the rest of the movie has this weird. For me, it was too many plot lines that never converged. It was just, oh, this is why drugs are bad. Oh, this is why, which is true, 100%, which is true.
Okay.
But it's not Soderbergh's best film, and I like Traffic, but I don't think it deserved recognition for Del Toro, but besides that, I don't think it is a Best Picture nominee.
Before I say why I think it's overrated, I will agree that Del Toro is great in the film, but Del Toro is almost great in everything he's in.
That's true.
I hate Savages, but Del Toro's great in Savages. But Traffic...
One more thing. What I like is how similar but different his roles are in Traffic and Sicario. They're like on the same side of the law, but two very different guys. Mm-hmm. But yeah, continue.
But Traffic for me, I was very anticipated whenever I put this into my PS4 to watch it, and from the very first shot, it looks ugly as hell. This movie is just not fun to look at. Not fun, but not good to look at.
Do you think that's a point?
I think it is, but I think it could also make it like it doesn't. A movie can do that, but still not take you out of the movie.
Well, it has 3 different.
I did not like any of the styles.
How would you explain it? 3 different cinematography.
The
sets
Del Toro
like
looks dirty and gritty, and I just don't think it works.
Well, Michael Douglas is blue.
Michael Douglas is like this deep blue, and I just did not like it either. And then the Catherine Zeta-Jones is super bright. It kept taking me out of the movie. I think the Steven Soderbergh did a poor job with directing. I think the actors are what do good in this movie, not him. The writing, I don't think anything converges well enough. So yeah, I just think Traffic is very overrated. Acting's all good, but I just don't think the writing and directing can make that movie coalesce together.
Fair.
Right.
Ryan, let's get to what you got.
I am talking about right now. Jesus. My first, I was just out of it.
We're not even drinking.
I haven't talked in so long, I don't know how to do it anymore. Okay. My first movie is A Knight's Tale. Have you guys ever seen this? It stars Heath Ledger.
Right?
I didn't know Knights had tails.
No, different kind of tale.
Oh, I see.
A story
it's
kind
a
of
dick.
tale. And so Heath Ledger plays a worthless squire whose knight just got killed, and so he fakes it until he makes it, becoming a knight in this movie. I think it's a lot of fun. It has the soundtrack contains rock and roll. I think it's kind of just a unique sort of take on a medieval knights movie. I would say this movie is underrated.
I would agree. I have not seen this movie again since I was younger, but my dad loves this movie, and I remember really liking it. And I remember going back and looking at like what critics would say about it, and I'm just like, I remember that movie being a lot of fun.
Yeah, it's a good time.
When did it come out?
2001.
Okay, so that's a young Heath Ledger.
Yeah.
One of his big, like, I think it was after 10 Things I Hate About You, I believe.
I have no idea.
Oh.
I've heard from a number of people that this movie's underrated.
It's good.
Is it like a medieval tale with like a modern twist on it?
Yeah,
the rock
like
music
the
and
character
stuff?
Heath Ledger plays just feels modern.
Yeah.
And everybody else is like
all the people
medieval,
clap
old-timey.
to "We Will Rock You."
Yeah,
essentially.
he's essentially just a rock star, kind of just con manning his way through everything.
Now let me ask you this: Is it a multi-dimensional character surrounded by a bunch of one-dimensional characters?
No.
Okay.
They all are pretty.
From what I remember,
okay.
no.
It's good.
Yeah, then I'm interested.
So yeah, moving on. My next movie is Crazy Stupid Love. This is a movie that stars. We got Ryan Gosling,
Steve
Julianne
Carell.
Moore, and Steve Carell. I almost was there, Brookshire. Thank you, though. Thank you for
You're
completing
welcome.
that for me. I think this movie's underrated. It just simply didn't get enough recognition because I think that the cast had... Oh, Emma Stone's in it as well. I think the cast had fantastic chemistry, and it's a good story that I just think it was completely unrecognized. I don't think people really gave this enough for what it was worth. It was a good movie.
I guess I would have to agree because I did not see this movie because it just looked like another rom-com.
It is, but it's good.
After I heard reviews, I've been meaning to go back to this movie. I've seen it like on it airs on TBS a lot, so you would think, oh, it's just a stupid rom-com, but everything I hear is this movie's actually really smart and actually funny.
This one's been on my radar for a while.
I'm buying into that it is like any other rom-com, but I just think the cast salvages that above it. So it's just a degree above the others. That's all I got on that.
So I've heard great things about Crazy Stupid Love from about everyone.
It's a good one. My next movie is Martin Scorsese's Mean Streets. I think I saw Mean Streets and Taxi Driver, and one day I wanted to tackle my early Scorsese
Man,
movies.
that's a depressing evening. Right
and yeah, it was pretty bad. I think Mean Streets is overrated. I saw it.
I can actually see that.
I saw it and I was just sitting through it and I was just getting exhausted. It was so drawn out. I don't have anything notable to say about Robert De Niro's performance in it. I thought technically there was a really cool tracking shot in the end. Like, so you definitely could tell that Martin Scorsese had really good directing prowess, but ultimately I think this movie's overrated. It gets so much praise.
Does it fall flat on the script for you?
Yeah, honestly that too. I just think the pacing took me out of it.
Okay.
Not having seen Mean Streets, I have seen Taxi Driver, and I have the same feeling about Taxi Driver.
They're
as you
similar.
Do Mean Streets.
They're similar.
They are very similar movies from what I understand.
Wasn't those are early Scorsese days,
yes.
right?
Those are like his first two.
I feel like Scorsese hit his Raging Bull's great, but I feel like Scorsese hit his peak later.
Yeah.
In his career, like he didn't make
Goodfellas is like arguably his peak.
the best movie ever in my opinion.
Goodfellas
So
is
yes,
very
I would
good.
agree. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right. My next movie.
Don't
is-
piss off the fanboys, Ryan.
What? I didn't hear you. I got headphones on. Okay, moving on. My next movie is Rogue One: A Star Wars Story. I think this movie's overrated.
That's what I said. I said don't piss off the fanboys,
Let
Ryan.
him
Oh,
talk.
okay, I gotcha. Well, so Rogue One: A Star Wars Story came out last year. I think it's not as good a movie as everyone says it is. Yes, there's cool action scenes, but it's so non-character driven. None of the characters are really characters, including that of Jyn Erso, the main character. No one has anything that like there's no fleshed out character past for anything. I would think no one really sticks to any sort of there's no really characteristics that follow anyone. They're all just one-dimensional. That's all I got. It's
So like,
so-
there's no arc to them. Is that what you're trying to say?
yeah, I just don't think they're people. They're just all there.
So I feel that I think I love Rogue One, but I think I can see where you're coming from. If you're not a Star Wars nut, Rogue One is I would say entertaining movie for the regular audience. But I think Rogue One did what Suicide Squad couldn't, which is produce a good movie with characters you have to develop on the fly. And yes, besides there isn't a lot of character development for sure. They all just kind of
That's what I'm saying.
they just come together as this crew to perform the action. What I was more interested in wasn't the characters, was the overall story. Yes, we know how it ends, but I like that they have to go steal the Death Star plans to save the galaxy. And I thought they executed it the best they could because the movie wasn't necessary. The movie didn't have to be about the characters. It had to be about what happens in Star Wars. I'm not giving it an excuse. I know the characters aren't super fleshed out. I think Forrest Whitaker is bad in the movie. I don't know why he was in it. But other than that, I do love Rogue One. I would contest it being overrated. It made a lot of money, but it's not like people consider it the best Star Wars movie.
Yeah, that's fair to argue.
But I get where you're coming from. As it's, if you'd have called it a bad movie, I'd contest it more. But
I don't think it's bad.
I definitely see where you're coming from.
Okay.
I definitely agree with Ryan on this. I definitely like Rogue One, but if you go back and look at all the hype that people had once it initially came out. Everyone was saying, "Oh, this is like top 3 Star Wars movies, like best film of the year and all this." And I think a lot of people had the Star Wars
Hangover.
It's a Star Wars movie, so we're gonna like it. And Mike mentioned over that it did what Suicide Squad tried to do. Well, of course, it's better than Suicide Squad, Mike. But yeah.
No, but I'm saying like Suicide
Oh, I understand
Squad
what you're saying. I'm just
coulda-
saying, let's not compare the two.
Yeah.
Let's just forget about the Oscar-winning Suicide Squad.
Yeah, you guys presented better cases than I could have. I know I got a bit rambly there, but
I like where your case was coming from.
yeah, I think it stands that the characters could have been a little more fleshed out. My final movie here is Walk Hard, the Dewey Cox story. This movie is from somewhere in the early 2000s. This stars
John C. Reilly.
John C. Reilly. It's got Jenna Fisher in it as well. It has Tim Meadows, Chris Parnell. Really good cast.
That's a great cast.
It's pretty fun. It's a spoof of Johnny. It's a spoof of Walk the Line, Johnny Cash's sort of biopic, and it's just stupid fun. I think this movie just gets a lot of shit because it is so stupid. But overall, I would just recommend it to anyone. It's just funny. I don't know.
I wouldn't say it gets a lot of flack because John C. Reilly got nominated for Best Actor.
Yeah.
That movie?
I swear to God,
this movie
No
actually is very
shit.
critically
it's very
liked.
well received.
It
got well received at the Oscars, but
It
it's
was
not
underseen.
a movie underseen. That's what I was gonna say.
I think
Not
it'd
a
be
lot of people
underseen.
know about
Maybe
it,
that's
so
what I was trying to say.
Yes,
'Cause I
it's
haven't
still
seen it.
underrated.
So the movie's it's not then it's rated. It's not overrated or underrated. It's just rated and underseen.
Well, underseen goes with underrated.
All right,
yes.
Well, there's my case.
I haven't seen it. I've always been meaning to. I need to see Walk the Line too, so maybe I won't laugh as hard at Walk Hard.
Just see him in the same day.
It's
Yeah,
true.
That'd be fun, actually.
What should I watch first?
Walk the line.
Yeah, Walk the Line.
Let's get to mine. Seven Psychopaths is my first movie. Seven Psychopaths is underrated, and this is why I say it's underrated. Not because people don't know about it. It's underrated because I always forget the director and writer's name.
Martin McDonagh.
There we go.
Yeah,
McDonald.
Martin McDonagh.
Some Irish name.
I can't pronounce it.
He got a Best Original. He's an Oscar-winning not director, for documentary or something, and he was nominated for short. It was something. He won an Oscar in something smaller category, and then for In Bruges he got nominated for Best Original Screenplay.
Definitely
I
deserved.
think this movie was also deserving of a lot of Oscar hype that
Agreed.
it didn't get because I think it was an indie film and it didn't get enough word to mouth. And Sam Rockwell, who is a underrated actor to go with the movie, should have gotten nominated for Best Supporting Actor. Christopher Walken makes a case for being nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Gotta love the walking.
And this movie should have been nominated for Best Original Screenplay. It's so funny and so violent. It is just a movie I've never seen before. It's about this guy writing a script who's an alcoholic who has fucked up friends, and the script becomes real. Like,
Yeah,
it's
great.
so original.
And people kidnap a dog for ransom.
Yeah. and oh my God, it's just like there's so many elements to this movie that I notice every time I watch it. And this movie has a lot of rewatch value because it's funny and it has action. It's just enthralling throughout. I love this movie. So underrated in my opinion.
I totally agree. Martin, I'm just gonna call him Martin because I don't know how to pronounce his
Marty.
last name. Good old Marty. I've seen In Bruges. In Bruges is one of my favorite movies of the past decade. I think more people need to watch that movie. It is well received critically, but more people need to watch that film. But Seven Psychopaths is a great follow-up. Like, he had no sophomore slump. Like, a lot of directors will make a second movie. They try to imitate what they did before. He goes in a different direction.
This guy's got his own
Style.
like
Dark
it's similar
humor.
to Quentin's.
Very dark humor.
And
this guy has.
it's very distinct. In his new movie this year, Three Billboards
Frances
Outside Ebbing.
McDormand.
Yeah, Three Billboards Outside Ebbing, Missouri. I'm so excited, but yeah, continue.
That's actually I was gonna just
All
that's
right.
I'm excited for his next film. Anything this guy does, I am down for.
Yeah, Ryan.
I saw the movie a while ago, but I remember it being very good. You're kind of getting me reminiscing on it, and yeah, that movie probably is underrated. I agree. That's all I got.
All right. My next movie I brought to the table was Gravity. Gravity nominated for Best Picture.
Where are you going with this,
Gravity nominated for Best Actress.
Where are you going
Sandra
with this,
Bullock.
Mike?
Gravity that won all these awards. You know what the best thing about Gravity is?
Oh no.
The special effects and the score is, I would argue, the director, but Gravity is so fucking overrated. You see that movie once and you appreciate it. You watch it again and you realize how simple the story is. And it's just like, I don't see any difference between watching Gravity and watching a blockbuster. I really don't. I don't think that Gravity had this powerful story. It was technically flawless, and that's what it should be praised for, but I don't understand how it made so much money and it got all this recognition. I mean, Sandra Bullock's good, but like, really, best actress?
I would have to disagree with Mike. I love this movie, but initially, before I saw 12 Years a Slave, I thought that movie, Gravity, should have won Best Picture. After seeing 12 Years a Slave, it definitely deserved it more. But Gravity, I saw it twice in the theaters. Both times I was mesmerized. I think Sandra Bullock is fantastic in the movie. George Clooney is George Clooney in that movie. The special effects are, as Mike said, flawless. You cannot point anything out to them that's bad. And I think Alfonso Cuarón did a great job at directing that film.
I haven't seen Gravity.
I can see why people don't like it.
Gravity.
No, I lied. I said the wrong thing.
What?
Ryan.
Damn it, I would have switched the movie.
It wasn't a conscious lie. I just said, yeah, I seen it. And I was wrong.
How dare you, Ryan?
But I'll tell you what, I've read about Gravity. And
no, Ryan, just no.
You're saying that the special effects are good. I was reading somewhere that they got their space physics wrong and that things fall, like when she's getting when shit happens on the spaceship. I haven't seen it, but
shit's
objects
ripping through space. Yeah,
objects fall like that, and that's not how space works. So that was bullshit. And
I'm not a physicist, though, Ryan.
That, I'll give it's overrated. If you're gonna put so much work into a space movie, you should follow the physics of space.
Gravity's not bad, but I didn't get it.
I gotta say, I do understand why people think it's not great, though. I can recognize that.
I thought that there was movies that year that were far superior, like
12 Years a Slave.
Like 12 Years a Slave. I thought Wolf of Wall Street was a much better movie, but that's just me. My next one is Joel Edgerton's directorial debut, a movie he also stars in with Jason Bateman and Rebecca Hall, called The Gift, which came out in, was it 2015? 2015.
Yeah.
2015. Summer 2015. And in July. That's right. And I saw this movie in theaters and I bought it, and it is a very underrated film, a very condensed and small thriller that works. And the ending will have you have your jaw on the floor because it has this amazing twist that the thought of it is so gruesome, but you don't know if it's true or not, and the movie just ends. And it's a really depressing movie about, bullies and things you did when you were younger to people. And it really makes you think of, can this shit come and bite you in the ass one day? And I just love this movie, and it's creepy and it has some really good themes to it. I think The Gift was underseen, and it was well received though critically.
Yes, but
I think it's underrated because a lot of people haven't heard of it and don't
true.
Even know about it.
So Mike, what you're saying is it was the feel good movie of the summer in 2015.
No, you saw it.
I did. I do like The Gift, but I don't think it's great. I think it's very slow. I do recognize it's intentionally so. It's not like it's trying to be fast, but I think at times it doesn't work. But I do remember liking the twist. The twist is really good. It goes someplace you don't expect.
It's just so fucked up.
It is. It's really fucked up. Ryan, are you going to go see The Gift now after our recommendation?
I haven't seen The Gift, but given Mike's passion, I side with him. He was passionate.
Underrated.
I believe.
I will say it was underseen. Again, I like originality in Hollywood, and anything that's just decent, I want people to go see.
I can't say though I don't know the money it made.
I think it was.
I don't think it was bad.
It was profitable, but because it was so low budget. Though.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I thought. The second to last one we got on this list is The Grey, starring Liam Neeson and wolves.
What do you got on it?
It's a movie that some people like to hate on for the ending. I disagree, and the cast of this movie, Liam Neeson's great. Frank Grillo is fucking fantastic.
Hell yes.
Yeah, thank you. He's so good as like the dick, but and they really humanize these characters in this situation.
That one scene near the end with him, like emotional.
Yeah,
it's so good.
Yeah, and just a great movie, super creepy. Yeah, I can't praise it enough. Wolves, you know,
there's wolves, guys. Wolves, it's good.
And I love how they break down the like the political structure of wolves. It's so good. It's such an interesting movie, and it could have just been very formulaic.
Yes,
and it was just executed so well. So I would call The Grey very underrated, and I hate the flack it gets for its ending. But Ryan is the one that told me about The Grey when we were in high school, so I will ask his opinion.
I like The Grey. I have seen it.
Yay!
It suffers because it was marketed wrong. People expected this to be like Taken, high intensive action
with wolves.
The wolves didn't take his daughter, but I'm saying that people expected this to just be just high adrenaline Liam Neeson hunting these wolves or something and then killing them with bottles. This was not that movie. It's very different. It's bleak. It's very
depressing.
spiritual.
Yeah.
It's depressing, really quite sad. Don't see it if you want to have a good time. But
Don't go on a date.
See it. Definitely underrated.
What's the last, none of us are going to be able to quote it, but the last line that he, his dad used to read him, he's
once
like,
more into the fray, into the last good fight I'll ever know. Live and die on this day. Live and die on this day.
Jeez,
Ryan,
it's so fucking awesome.
You got to try with the Liam Neeson accent.
I can't.
No, he doesn't. Alex, what do you think of The Grey?
I love The Grey. I saw that movie once in theaters. I loved it. Saw it again on DVD. Loved it even more. It came out in January, and I was disappointed because that movie easily could have been up for Oscars. All the actors, there's no bad actor in that movie, in my opinion. And I think it's just so emotional. It's not what you expect. I went into that movie thinking, oh, Liam Neeson's going to fight some wolves. Yay. And I walked out loving what I got.
They fight the conditions as much as they do the wolves.
That's what makes that movie great, is that it's more than just wolves fighting. It's Liam Neeson and his crew fighting against nature. And nature's more of a bitch than the wolves. Oh, and Joe Carnahan, who directed the A-Team remake, which is a fun movie, but not technically not a good movie. But it's surprising he can make this emotional of a movie after making just like the A-Team a couple of years back.
You know what scene I always think of is when they're sitting around a fire and all the wolves are howling, and then you hear the alpha yell, and they're all like, "What the fuck?"
And then Frank Grillo standing up and then just gets jumped.
Yeah,
that is the best scene of the movie.
And then he cuts the head off of the wolf and holds. Oh my! Such a good movie. Such a good movie.
Go see it, audience, please.
Our final movie that we will talk about. Thank you for bearing with us on our biased opinions of these movies. By the way,
don't hate us.
Is Zero Dark 30, which stars Jessica Chastain, Chris Pratt, Jason Clarke, Joel Edgerton, Kyle Chandler. Great cast. Nominated for Best Picture.
Directed by Catherine Bigelow.
Who did Hurt Locker, which I love. I find, even when I saw it when I was younger, I think Zero Dark 30 is overrated. I think it is way too long. It was also marketed poorly, because they market it like it's going to be the Navy SEALs going after Bin Laden in this.
That's what's going to make the
money.
Which
is 20 minutes of the movie with Pratt and Edgerton. And I don't know. Movie filled with good performances. I was very underwhelmed, and I didn't get why it was so well received. I thought it was a serviceable drama with good performances, but another one I find, how you view Traffic, how it's not a bad movie, but there's something about it that's off-putting to you.
Agreed.
That's how I felt about Zero
I
Dark
understand
30.
that.
Somewhat. No, you can't call it propaganda, because they show torture scenes with Jason Clarke, which are
those are actually hard scenes to watch.
That was my favorite. The beginning and end of this movie are great, and the middle just dragged for me, and I wanted something else, and I didn't get it, and I was just I would consider this movie overrated.
I agree that the movie is overrated. I think it's a really good movie that has a lot of good performances in it. It's well directed, but I do think it is overlong. Like, we all know what's going to happen at the end.
What do you mean? What do we know is going to happen at the end?
I mean, we all know Osama bin Laden's going to live. Like, clearly.
Oh, okay, I know what you mean.
We're anticipating it. Yeah. No, we all know he's going to die, and we're just waiting for that to happen. And that's why I think the marketing really hurt.
It's like you know what's going to happen, and you're waiting for it. Yes. And it's just too long.
And like the suspense works for like a good 20 minutes in that middle, like good 20 half hour in that middle. But then it just gets way too long, and they just keep playing it over and over again. And it just needs to move along.
Ryan, do you concur?
Have you seen it, Ryan?
You guys said literally anything I would have said, so I concur.
Like,
it's
literally?
Overrated.
You've seen it?
Like literally, like all our words you would have said.
Not exactly, but I completely agree.
Right,
I concur.
I'm sorry, Ryan. You got a little boxed out in this segment at times.
No, I mean, as
sorry,
the
Ryan.
co-host of a movie podcast, I haven't seen a lot of movies, and I gotta rethink my life after this.
Well, Ryan, all you know is you got some movies you gotta watch now.
Ryan's a great producer.
We all love him.
We all love him, and
I try.
But
if I can,
so you would agree on Zero Dark 30?
Yeah,
being overrated.
This is a movie I've seen.
Listen,
that's right.
All right, Alex. I know you have a couple more movies you want to talk about. Don't go into detail.
Oh no.
Just mention some movies because Alex is a guest. He had a lot he wanted to talk about since Dan's gone, and it's always the three of us. We only got 3 mics, so
yeah.
Alex, have your time to talk about your stuff.
I just have 3 movies. I'm not going to take too much time. I just want to mention these movies that everyone, I think, are underrated that people need to see. One is Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. This is not a go happy family movie, so if you have children, please don't watch this with them. It stars Michael Rooker in an 80s film. It's based on a true story, allegedly, and it's fantastic, and I cannot highly recommend it even more. The second movie is Blowout, directed by Brian De Palma and starring Nancy Allen and John Travolta. This is Brian De Palma's best movie in my opinion, and John Travolta gives a fantastic performance. Amazed me. Please go check it out. It's on Criterion. So, and then this third one is the most recent one is Popstar. This movie only made $9 million. The Andy Samberg Lonely Island film, and this movie should have been a huge thing. This movie was hilarious. It was smart. It was like this is Spinal Tap for a new generation. I'm so disappointed people did not go see this movie.
I think how satirical it was off-putting to people. Is that it looked so just out there.
It looked super stupid. But whenever you get into the movie, you realize how smart the film actually is.
Gotcha. I haven't seen it. I was just saying that's why I probably think it was marketed that way.
So those are 3 movies everyone should go watch, please.
And we hope you guys enjoyed this segment. I had a great time talking about it because there's so many movies you can just discuss of overrated, underrated.
Again, please don't hate us if you disagree with us. We can all live happily together.
No.
Yeah. And that is this week's podcast. Remember to rate and subscribe to us on iTunes. Please subscribe to our YouTube channel as well. Links will be provided in the description. We are also on Facebook and Twitter. Any closing comments here, gentlemen?
We might be back next week.
So you're not like Arnold.
Well, no, Ryan. No, I'm not. No.
I won't be here.
Ryan will not be here. Dan and I got to figure some stuff out. What's going on? I might have to shoot a project for a class of mine, but we'll see. We would like to record, but we might be back. We might not. Maybe Alex will replace Ryan again next week, but we'll see what happens.
If I get positive reception, I would be happy to. I had a great time here. Hopefully
Ryan,
no one tears me to pieces.
What was your opinion of Alex today?
Be honest. We're good friends.
You got a lot to learn, kid, in this business. It'll tear you apart.
Shit.
All right? This ain't for anybody. All right.
I'll just go to the bathroom now to cry my eyes out. Thank you very much, Ryan.
So that's this week's podcast. All the other stuff I said a minute ago still applies.
Rate and subscribe on YouTube. How we started,
yada, yada, yada. So we're on the YouTubes. Thanks for listening, and have a good week. Take it easy.
Bye.
This is Unorthodox.
Adios, amigos.
Thanks for listening.
Thanks.
What if God was just one of us. Just a slob like one of us.